Turns out the third Kai chapter has been done for a couple of weeks, but I kept forgetting about it. Well, it's at the end of this chapter. Enjoy! For the record, I have done this already. It's a separate video. I'll have a link to it down in the description. Anyways, let's begin. The androids 17 and 18 faced off against Cell, the hissing bio-android calculating the perfect moment to strike. Alright, 18, the male android said quietly. He's got to be tired after taking on the Namek. If we work together, we can... Cell disappeared, moving faster than they could follow as he charged at them. So much for that theory, 18 thought, bracing herself for the coming attack. There was a flash of green, and two fast-moving blurs condensed into solid figures. Android 16's fist planted firmly in Cell's face. I will not permit you to absorb 17 and 18, he said calmly. Come no closer, or I will be forced to terminate you.
Bah! Out of my way, you inferior model!
Cell shrieked. They locked hands, pushing against each other. Two loud cracks sounded in unison. Cell's foot smashed into 16's jaw, as 16's kick drove into Cell's gut. Knocked back by the force of their blows, they separated, preparing to renew their attack. 16's keeping up with the Cell creature? 17 wondered aloud. But it was moving so fast. Could 16 be a more powerful model than us? 18 nodded. And he's so obedient to his programming, too. Why do you think Dr. Giro needed us? I don't know. Let's just be grateful for 16. 16 was knocked back again by an unexpected punch that followed the low feint, skidding to a halt in midair in front of 17 and 18. Leave now, he commanded. I cannot guarantee I will prevail against Cell. Our power levels are about equal. It isn't weakened nearly as much as I predicted. Hey, 18 smiled. Thanks for protecting us. The Namekian warrior promised not to kill you. I saw no reason to intervene, 16 responded. But I cannot allow Cell to harm you. Please, leave this place immediately. Run away, 17 growled. I'm not. Yes, you are. 18 grabbed him by the arm and pulled him away. Come on, 17. We're not helping 16 by hanging around. 17 hesitated. I guess you're right. We're out of our league here. 18 sighed with relief. Thanks for seeing sense. I was worried you wouldn't be able to get past your pride.
Hey, 17! Cell shouted. What's this? Running away, letting the big guy fight your battles for you.
17's eyes narrowed. You, he brushed 18 off him.
What did you say? Some ultimate fighting machine you turned out to be,
Cell taunted, goading 17 into charging recklessly at it. 17, no! 16 warned, but it was too late. 17 was lashing out madly at Cell, who was laughing and catching every blow. 16 and 18 rushed Cell from opposite directions in an attempt to divert its attention. But Cell saw them coming, grabbing hold of 17's neck and pulling him with it as it dodged out of the way, the pair of attacking androids colliding in midair. Cell blasted them at close range with a high-powered bolt of energy, then turned its attention back to 17, who was struggling in a futile attempt to escape Cell's grip. Cell's tail swung around, the needle-like point expanding into a wide funnel. It swooped down over 17's head and shoulders, enveloping him. He was trying frantically to push his way out, but it was no use. He was rapidly being sucked inside. Cell laughed deeply as 17 slipped entirely into its tail, vanishing into Cell's body. The tail closed up again, and Cell's entire form seemed to shudder and shake. 16 and 18 stared in horror, as did 3 other observers. Zarbon, Krillin, and Yamcha came to a halt, seeing the androids and Cell. What just happened? Cell asked. I'm not sure, Zarbon answered. Cell just sucked up Android 17 with his tail. He frowned. I don't see Nail anywhere. You think Cell absorbed him too? Yamcha wondered, then noticed something. No, wait. I can feel his energy. It's faint, but he's underwater somewhere. Zarbon nodded. I'll get him. He dived down into the water. So, what does that leave us to do? Yamcha asked. I don't know, Krillin said. Hey, wait! Cell's changing. Cell's body began to glow with light, which then faded and appeared again, coming on in pulses that slowly increased in brightness and frequency.
Yeah!
It shrieked, either from the pain or the effort of its transformation. There was a low rumble, and in sporadic bursts, Cell began to grow, its already massive height increasing even further. Its hands grew more human-like, and its toes fused into a boot-like shape. It grew further, becoming monstrously tall, bulking out as well, no longer the spindly, almost frail-looking insect creature. Bioelectricity sparked up and down Cell's body. He was now a more humanoid figure overall, with splashes of orange to his carapace, heavier armored plates, and an almost human face, although he still possessed no nose. His former head orb and spikes had shifted back to become a smooth, crown-like configuration resting on the top of his head. Finally, his wings had completely gone. That's better. Cell looked around, seeing the terrified gazes he was receiving. Now, 18, you've seen how pointless it is to resist. Let's not go through all of that again. Don't you want to be a part of perfection? 18 spat. If that's perfection, count me out. 17, you idiot! You walked right into that one. Now what can we do? 16 raised his guard. I will not let you absorb 18, Cell. Just like you didn't let me absorb 17. Ignoring this, 16 leapt at Cell, swinging a fist for his face. Cell caught 16's arm, grinning. Come now, 16. You must be able to detect my power. It's far greater than yours now. That is irrelevant, 16 replied. You must not succeed. Oh, really? Cell had an amusing idea. Well, how about this? You know if you fight me, you'll almost certainly be destroyed. If that happens, you'll never carry out your mission. Come on, your primary drive. Surely it takes priority, Go on, 16. Go kill Goku. 16 hesitated. No! No! He grasped around Cell's shoulders in a tight hold. You cannot succeed! I must protect 18. I've already failed one of my family. He's overwriting his programming, Cell realized. So selfless and strong-willed. No wonder Shiro was afraid to use him. He narrowed his eyes. Well, congratulations. You've got me. Now, before I tear you into pieces, would you care to inform me what, exactly, you plan on doing? 16 smiled. Detonating the bomb inside of me. What? Cell struggled. Get off me, you fool! You can't be suicidal! I can be whatever I choose, Cell. This is the end! 16 began to vibrate, a slight hum emitting from his body. Cell pushed and pulled, and began to loosen 16's grip slightly, but he knew he only had seconds, not enough time to free himself. Thinking quickly, Cell flung a hand out to the side, accessing his schematics of Dr. Giro's androids and his database of Earth Spider's techniques simultaneously. Kienzan! He growled, the bright energy disc spinning to life inches away from his fingertips. He swung his arm around, the Kienzan attack slicing right through 16. There was a noise of grinding, tearing metal, and 16's legs and most of his torso fell away. They fell into the ocean with a barely audible splash. But the explosion that followed was deafening. When the noise and the sea had died down, Cell spoke again. Quite a clever move. Unless, of course, your opponent has detailed blueprints in their memory of exactly where your self-destruct device is. All the better to cut it out with. Slowly, Cell pried 16's fingers off his shoulders, holding the remains of the noble android up by its neck. And now, to take out the trash. You won't win, Cell. 16 was making an effort to speak, his voice coming out harsh and grating. What's this? Someone will stop you. Cell frowned. Bah, like who? He reached up with his other hand, crushing 16's head like tissue paper. And one more down. He tossed the android's remains into the ocean, looking over at 18. Well, didn't he tell you to run? 18 was frozen with fear, staring wide-eyed at the horror before her. 17. 16. How did this happen so quickly? Just a short while ago, everything was perfect. Then, she recovered from her daze just in time to see Cell rushing at her. She flinched, trying to prepare herself for battle, knowing she couldn't win. There was a splash from below, and Zarbon, powering up from concealment in an instant, rocketed up out of the water, landing a solid uppercut to Cell's jaw. "Go!" he shouted. "Now!" 18 turned and flew away as fast as she could. She heard an impact from behind her, and Zarbon flew past her, crashing to the ground on the shore. The battle had slowly moved back towards the coast. There was a flicker in the air, and Cell appeared in front of her, smiling cruelly, his tail curling and twisting. "Okay, I'm going in," Krillin decided. "Yamcha, cover me!" "Right," Yamcha nodded. "Hurry! You don't have to tell me!" Krillin raced over to 18 and Cell, activating his Kaioken up to ×10. Cell's tail was shaking towards the trembling 18.
"I'm not gonna make it! Kaioken ×20!
His speed doubled instantly, and he pulled 18 out of the way, Cell overbalancing from the missed swing, snarling as he turned to face them. "Get off me!" 18 snapped, pushing Krillin away. "I don't need your help!" "Well, you weren't exactly doing a great job of dodging on your own," he retorted. She paused. "Aren't you afraid?" "I guess," he shrugged. "But I've been facing these kinds of threats all my life. I've actually died. Twice. I guess I know what I'm getting into." "No, I really don't think you do," Cell said, swiping at them as they jumped back and away from him. "Get out of the way. And 18, stay right where you are. I'll get you."
"Not a chance!"
Krillin shouted, stepping up to Cell, but the bioandroid just backhanded him away, knocking him out with a single blow. Cell turned back to 18. "And now, for the main event."
Kamehameha!
Cell lurched sideways as he was hit in the side by the energy beam, quickly recovering and swiveling to face Yamcha, who hovered with his hands outstretched in front of him, a nervous grin on his face.
"Yeah, how do you like that?"
he taunted. "A little annoying, actually," Cell replied. "I wouldn't go so far as to say actually painful, but points for effort." "Oh man, he isn't even shaken," Yamcha grimaced. "I'll have to do better than that if I want to buy time for her to escape. How can I increase my power? Combining King Kai's technique with my own was a neat idea, but like the normal Wolfbane Fist, it only works for close-range attacks. If I want to make my Kamehameha more powerful, I need the full Kaioken." Far away, King Kai shook his head.
"No, Yamcha! Don't try and pull off a Kaioken! You've never been officially taught! You'll just damage your own body!"
"I've got no choice." Yamcha looked up at Cell. "All right, Kaioken!" The red aura that appeared was unstable and flickering, blinking on and off and shooting off violent sparks. But it was there. Kamehameha! Yamcha fired the attack again, and Cell raised a hand to catch it. The force of the impact surprised him, pushing him back. 18 saw the opportunity and finally fled, soaring back towards the mainland. "No, you don't!" Cell began, but Yamcha increased the power of his attack even further, forcing Cell to put both hands into and block, and focus on defending himself. Even with the Kaioken, Goku was saying, Yamcha still couldn't hold off Cell. He's putting his own life force into the attack too. "What?" Gohan jumped up and ran over to his father. "We've got to go and help him!" "No, Gohan. We'd just be getting ourselves killed. Yamcha has to do what he has to do. We can't save him now. And hopefully he's buying enough time for the remaining android to escape." King Kai had filled them in on current events via telepathic relay. "But Dad," Gohan protested, "can't you feel his energy? It's fading already." "I know. He hasn't got proper knowledge of the Kaioken, and it's tearing him apart from the inside." Gohan sniffed. "He's going to die, isn't he?" Goku was silent for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah!" Yamcha continued to pour all of his energy out through both hands. "How long can you keep this up?" Cell roared in frustration, knowing his prey was getting further away with every second. "As long as I have to! You can't keep attacking at this level forever! You'll weak! You'll fall!" This just strengthened Yamcha's will further. "Yeah, like always. That's what I'm here for, is it? To get beaten up until the real tough guys come and save the day. Not this time! Tien, you wouldn't back down. You could do this. So I can too. I can. And I will! You're wrong, Cell!" Waves of force buffeted Cell, driving him further back. I will not fail! Yamcha screamed. 18 flew over the beach, searching for a hiding place. I need something out of the way. Somewhere I can really stay concealed. She saw a small figure lying prone on the coast. Krillin. If he lay there in plain sight, Cell would no doubt kill him when he came this way looking for her. No time! Leave him! Why should I help him anyway? A thought carved its way through her mind, overwhelming everything else. A hurried, snatched conversation. I don't need your help! Aren't you afraid? I know what I'm getting into. Thinking to herself the whole time that she was making a mistake, she flew down and picked up the small warrior. He sighed in his sleep, bringing a smile to her face. But her expression quickly hardened and she took off again. Clouds began to gather, and the sky darkened. Goku was shaking with anger, but managed to keep control of himself. It's enough, Yamcha! Stop! You'll kill yourself! There should be plenty of time for... He stopped talking as he heard a click. The door to the hyperbolic time chamber was opening. Goku and Gohan turned to see Raditz and Break emerged. Hey guys! Goku waved cheerfully. Raditz returned his wave, and Break nodded in acknowledgement. She was a couple of inches taller than the last time he'd seen her, and her hair had grown. It was almost as long as her father's now. Her muscles were more developed now too. She had previously had the physique of a runner, a survivor. Now, she was a fighter. Both of them had worn torn and shredded clothes, and after a few too many energy blasts unsuccessfully dodged, Break had completely discarded her Capsule Corp jacket. Raditz was tying on his red headband as he walked, a sign to those who knew he was fully prepared for battle. What's happening? He asked brusquely. Oh, you better hurry, Goku told them. Cell's absorbed one of the androids and become even more powerful. Yamcha's holding him off, but he could find the other android any time now. Raditz's brow furrowed. Yamcha? We don't have much time then. Found them. Break? Right. His daughter put a hand on his shoulder as he brought 2 fingers to his forehead. Wait, Goku asked, excitement edging into his voice. Tell me one thing. Did you find the next level? Raditz grinned, nodded, and then they were gone. Yamcha could feel himself slipping. Cell was pushing back against his attack. Just a few seconds more! As long as he could. Who knew how long it would take for the android to escape? Just a few more. He had nothing left. Blackness crept up from the edges of his vision to envelop him. There was a gentle splash as Yamcha's corpse, completely drained of all its energy, hit the water. The clouds, still gathering, were thick and black overhead. Cell heaved a sigh of relief, waiting several seconds to catch his breath before speaking. Fool, he threw his life away. Damn him, he succeeded! She's gone! He fumed with anger. I had my shot at perfection, and now I have to start all over again. Well, at least that tiresome battle's over. Wrong, Cell! It hasn't even started! What? A foot caught Cell across the face, throwing him back. He righted himself to see Raditz hovering opposite him, Break just behind him. Raditz? And Break too. Where have you been hiding? We're not here to answer your questions, Raditz said. We're here to destroy you, Cell. Destroy me? Cell laughed. My power was already greater than you Super Saiyans, in my first imperfect form. And now I've absorbed Android 17, I'm even stronger. What are you going to do? Well, if you're even stronger than a Super Saiyan, we'll just have to go one better, Raditz said nonchalantly. One better? Cell gulped. I don't like the sound of that. Raditz nodded. Break. Care to demonstrate? All right. Break stood in a wide, internally focused stance, breathing deeply. Are you ready, Cell? She easily turned Super Saiyan, lighting up the darkened sky as the first raindrops began to fall. Ready? Cell's confidence was beginning to return. What could they do? Cell was the perfect being, the ultimate creation of Dr. Giro's genius. Cell and Break smiled at each other, each assured of their coming victory. Am I ready? Cell continued. My abilities have increased beyond your comprehension, and my perfection is only halfway complete. Clearly you don't understand why you cannot win. Maybe the old me couldn't win, Break said quietly. I couldn't win anything. Do you know, until I came to the past and destroyed Cooler and Cold, I'd never won a single battle in my life. Who was there to fight? The androids. But you didn't fight the androids. You ran away. Well, I'm done running! Her aura blazed gold around her, vaporizing the rain before it touched her. The aura continued to grow, exploding outwards and sending gale force winds crashing into Raditz and Cell, who watched with increasing concern. She grunted as he reached into her soul and dragged the power to the surface, kicking and screaming. Her aura continued to intensify. Super Saiyan they got used to. It wasn't easy, but they could access it just about on command. But this was still hard every time. Veins stood out on her forehead and neck. Super Saiyan hair began to wave back and forth in the unnatural wind her transformation was generating. Streaks of light shot out of her body. The sea formed itself into a whirlpool beneath her, the water being pushed away by the unearthly force. Whoa, her energy's still rising, Goku marveled. It's incredible! Maybe they can win! Hey, Dad? Gohan tugged on his arm. Just in case, let's start training as soon as possible, okay? Oh, right, Goku nodded. Let's go, Gohan. Even if they do win, it can't hurt to train for just one day, right? He grinned, following Gohan towards the door. Break continued to grow. Cell's smile slowly faded as he realized the scale of this new threat. Is there really a level beyond Super Saiyan? She growled as power coursed through her body. Her muscles began to grow, starting with her arms and upper body and flowing down to her legs, until her athletic figure had almost become Amazonian. Cell gaped in awe as another flash of light heralded her transformation's completion. The huge power level shot through Krillin's mind like a bolt of electricity, and he woke with a start, sitting up hurriedly. What? Where am I? Not far from where you fell, came the reply. Krillin looked up, seeing 18 sitting opposite of him, poking the small fire she made with a stick. They were in a cave near the coast, sheltering from the building storm outside and the titanic battle developing over the shore. Ah! Krillin yelped, then instantly felt embarrassed as he realized she wasn't going to hurt him. Oh, you saved me? She nodded. You were right in the line of fire. Why? She sighed, standing up and walking over to look out of the cave. I don't want to talk about it. Break exhaled slowly. In addition to her heavily muscled technique, her power had grown massively. She gritted her teeth as her ki fluctuated. This form was always difficult to keep control of. Not just the effort of maintaining so much power. For her in particular, keeping her emotions in check was even harder than as a regular Super Saiyan. What have you done? Cell demanded. What is this? He recoiled in terror as a smile spread across Break's face. Her mind raged, and every word was an effort. I have ascended. That's right. Raditz indicated his transformed daughter. I achieved this form first. Then she followed my lead. She's had less time to practice it, so her power isn't quite up to mine. So, just a warning. Should you somehow prevail, another, even stronger warrior awaits you. Cell wouldn't have believed it had he not been standing right in front of it. How? How did you get so powerful in such a short time? You couldn't have been a match with 17 or 18 just a few days ago. Break began to give out a low growl. No more talk. Fight me! Now! Break charged, her fist smashing into Cell's stomach, doubling him over. She followed up with a vicious elbow that staggered Cell back. Ultimate being, huh? Not so much. You'll pay for it! Cell was cut off by a kick to the back. Damn it! Break punched him in the head again. Stop interrupting! She knocked him away with both feet. Grrrr! Raditz was laughing hysterically. This is great! No dramatic vengeful speeches for you, Cell. Cell made an angry swipe at Raditz, but stopped short as Break grabbed hold of his tail in both hands. Swinging him around her head, she hurled him inland. Cell skidded along the hard ground, throwing up his own canyon as he went. Finally managing to stand, he looked up just as Break slammed into him from above, hammering a string of short-range punches into his midsection. Raditz came to rest on a rock a few meters away, watching the battle unfold. Amazing. She has more power than I realized. I might not even get a chance to fight. Oh well, there'll still be plenty of strong fighters to test my new powers on, especially if Goku reaches this level. Break stopped to wipe sweat from her forehead, practically a mocking gesture, and in the brief moment she left herself open, Cell kicked her away, jumping to his feet. Break straightened up, grinning. Weak. Cell knew he wouldn't win in a straight fight. Even in only a few seconds, her strength and speed had far surpassed his. He'd have to use his intelligence to his advantage, something which, he knew, she lacked. Krillin smiled. You're not really as bad as you're hyped up to be, are you? 18 looked around, surprised. What? Well, you seem to just want to have fun. You don't really want to kill anyone except Goku. Even then, that's only because it was programmed into you. He sat back against the cave wall. Hardly the nightmarish machines of death I'd been expecting. There was a long pause, and then 18 sighed and sat back down opposite Krillin. I was a human once, actually. Huh? 17 and I were just ordinary teenagers. Dr. Gero kidnapped us and turned us into what we are. I mean, he made us so powerful, but took away our lives. I don't know if I'm grateful or angry. Oh, Krillin said solemnly. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's nothing to do with you. Well, if you were human, do you at least have a name? He asked. Besides android number 18, that is. I must have, she said. But Gero wiped our memories. I don't know who I was, what kind of person, where I was from. Anything about myself, really. Oh. Wow. Don't worry, she said with a half smile. I don't mind 18. It's distinctive, at least. So, how about you? Huh? This took Krillin by surprise. Well, you've heard my story, now tell me yours. She indicated the cave entrance, the distant thunder, and the constant barrage of rain. While we're weathering the storm, literally, and your friend's battle with Cell, why don't you tell me your story? Why do you want to know? Krillin asked. Because I'm bored, she exclaimed, pacing up and down. It's better than sitting around thinking about whether I'll see my brother again. Because I'm bored, she exclaimed, pacing up and down. It's better than sitting around thinking about whether I'll ever see my brother again. Okay. Krillin closed his eyes, recalling his childhood. It's kind of a long story. 18 leaned against the wall. I've got time. Alright. Krillin nodded. Well, I was raised in the Orin Temple. That's where I got these, he said, indicating the 6 sensor burn marks on his forehead, 2 vertical rows of 3 dots. It was an initiation ritual. That must have hurt. I guess. I don't really remember it. The other monks used to bully me. Why? Because we were supposed to be fighting monks, but I was small and weak. It got so bad I ran away. I decided I'd become a great fighter and return and beat them all. And did you? He grinned. Actually, yeah. I found the great martial arts teacher, Master Roshi. He taught me everything I know about fighting, barring a few techniques I've come up with myself. Anyway, it was while I was training under Master Roshi that I met a certain boy named Goku. Right. 18 mentally checked her files. You're good friends. Krillin raised an eyebrow. How much do you know? She shrugged. Not that much. Gero didn't think it was important we know every little detail about you, only what was important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be asking. She paused. Go on. She had claimed she only wanted to hear it because she was bored, but she was sounding increasingly interested to Krillin. Well, let me see. He tilted his head to the side, dredging up the memories. Then we went to the World Martial Arts Tournament, my first of 3 so far. I was up against one of the Orin Temple monks in the preliminaries, and it turned out Roshi's training paid off. I beat the guy in one hit. Ah, justice. Is that why you killed 19? She grinned. You catch on quick. Did you win the tournament? Nah, Krillin shrugged. I've never been the strongest of our fighters. This old guy called Jackie Chun beat me. Though I'm convinced to this day he was just Roshi trying to steal our victory. He beat Goku, too. Did you ever win a tournament? Krillin shook his head. I always made it through the preliminaries, but never got further than the semifinals. You've probably got data on our fights after that, because by the second tournament we entered, Goku had already destroyed the Red Ribbon Army, so Jiro's revenge and blah blah blah, here we are. She nodded. Yeah, I know about the rest. Although, not your trip to space. Well, I was dead for that part, don't ask me, he shrugged. I did get to train with King Kai though. That was an experience. She yawned, then looked back at him. You've had an amazing life. Do you know that? I have? I guess so. I mean, not many people have seen what I have, and I know most of the others. Right, she smiled. It must feel pretty special, says the superhuman android. And this'll be it for part 1. I'll be back for part 2. I need to catch my breath. Cell beckoned Break to attack.
Come at me,
He shouted.
I won't lose this time.
Unlikely. Break growled, dashing along the ground towards Cell, her fist swinging through thin air as his afterimage faded. She's gotten too overconfident, Raditz noted. If she'd been paying attention, she would have noticed that. Cell stood behind Break, his hands forming a triangle.
Tri-beam!
He yelled, the blast crashing into Break's back at close range, driving her face first into the ground. There was a short pause, and she pulled herself up. Cell grinned. What's this? Crying? It didn't take long for her to prove him wrong. She bellowed, wiping the dirt out of her face and brushing her golden hair back.
I hope that wasn't your best. What? No! Impossible!
Cell hissed.
You can't be that strong!
No? She closed the distance seemingly instantly, smashing Cell into the air with her knee and hammering him back into the ground with both fists. Not even trying hard.
Why, you... If I had my perfect form right now, you'd be nothing! Powerless before my supreme might!
He trembled with rage.
How can I have come so close to perfection, only to fail now?
Break appeared in front of Cell again, looking curious. Say that. Again.
If...
Cell hesitated, trying to turn the situation to his advantage.
If I could just attain my perfect form, my power would be unparalleled in the entire universe. Why couldn't you have come an hour later? Victory would have been mine.
How? She demanded. Become perfect. How?
Well, I need to absorb Android 18.
Go. Absorb Android. I'll fight. Perfect form. I'm the strongest. Cell grinned.
We'll see.
Go! She shouted, and Cell flew up into the air to search for 18. Raditz jumped over to Break. Hold on a second. You're not going to let him. I am. He scowled. No, we're not doing that. We're stopping him now. Letting him get stronger. It's ridiculous. He's already amazingly powerful. But isn't that exciting? Break grinned, panting like a hunting beast. Want to see Perfect Cell? His most powerful? Raditz sighed. A little, yes. The prospect of a challenge. It's tantalizing, but look, we can't let him do this. It's just too risky. Launch's face flashed up in his mind. There are too many people here who will die if he wins. We have to finish this now. Break shook her head. Not your choice. Raditz tried to raise his guard, but wasn't fast enough, and her backhand knocked him flying away. Cell! She shouted.
Hurry up! Yes, all right, Cell muttered. Where has 18 hidden herself? One way to find out, I guess. 18!
The cry came, shaking Krillin and 18 into readiness.
Come out!
Cell bellowed.
Your time has come! Join me in perfection!
Not a chance, 18 muttered, clenching one fist. I'm not going the same way 17 did. Cell still can't sense me. He can search all day without finding us in here. I hope you're right, Krillin murmured. I'm trying to keep my power level down as low as possible.
Being difficult, I see,
Cell continued.
Well, you have 1 minute to come out of hiding before I blast everything around us to atoms!
He wouldn't, 18 whispered. He would, Krillin told her. He's charging up a lot of energy. Hey, he smiled. I'll go and distract Cell. You can get away. If you can get to cover, he'll never find you. You do that? For me? She asked. Risk your life for mine? Again? Just this morning, we were enemies. Things changed pretty quick, huh? Krillin grinned. Between you and me, you're alright. I don't think there's any reason for us to fight, if you stay out of trouble.
30 seconds, android!
Came Cell's roar. 18 walked over to stand next to Krillin, looking down at him. You're a nice guy, Krillin. She leaned down slowly and hesitantly, not sure why. Gave him a small kiss on the forehead. But you don't have to be the hero every time. Was all Krillin had time to say. 18 waved a hand in the air with superhuman speed, and the invisible wave of force knocked the fighter out cold. Let me save you this time, she thought.
10 seconds!
Alright! Flying up out of the cave, she approached Cell. Here I am. Satisfied?
Ah, there we go.
Cell gave an evil grin.
Now, why would you come out without so much as a struggle?
Ah, someone in there perhaps? She froze.
Someone you don't want hurt?
Cell taunted. Beads of sweat ran down 18's forehead. Cell could still kill him. I really didn't think this through. Don't. Raditz rose to his feet, transforming to Super Saiyan almost as an afterthought. You're overconfident. I think I need to teach you a lesson in humility. Ha! He transformed again to the higher ascended state, much faster and more controlled than Break's earlier ascension. But that can wait. First, Cell. Ha! He took off, making straight for Cell, but Break appeared in his path. Be patient. She chuckled. Not worth fighting. Yet. Break? Raditz's hands formed into fists. I'm only going to tell you this once. Get out of my way. I won't hesitate to... She swung at him, and he caught her fist. Fine, we'll do this your way. Twisting with the momentum of her attack, he brought his elbow around, smacking it into her chin and knocking her back. I know I'm trying to beat you, but that was just embarrassing. He jumped back and away as she swiped at him again, still dazed from his strike. Didn't I teach you anything in the chamber?
How about this? Cell suggested. A deal. I won't destroy this place, so wherever your friend's hiding, they'll live. But you must surrender yourself to me. Become part of my perfect form.
Cell's tail twisted over his head, funneling out into its full absorption mode.
What do you say?
18 was torn. Programming. Obey. Goku's allies are my enemies. Let him die. Save myself. I could make it, with the right distraction. The same scene, all of those humans, one after the other, putting their lives on the line for her, kept replaying in her mind. Is that why you killed 19? You know what? Programming can go to hell. Between you and me, you're alright. Whatever has been done to me, I'm still a human being. I have a heart, and I can occasionally do stupid things for the sake of other people. She looked up, trying to keep her voice level. Go ahead, Cell. Absorb me. Just don't kill him.
Him? Well, that narrows it down to about half the planet's population,
Cell joked.
Not that I care. Don't worry, I don't plan on killing anyone who isn't in the way. I'm above draining random weaklings. Well, let's get on with it.
Raditz pressed forwards with a high kick, but Break ducked under it, slamming both fists into his stomach. He gasped in pain, but recovered quickly, spinning and bringing his forearm down on the back of her neck, doubling her over. He prepared to deliver another blow, but looked up and did a double take. Damn it, Break! It's too late! He's absorbing 18! He glared at his battle-hungry daughter. What have you done? And that's a wrap. This was a long chapter, for me anyways. Not much to say other than, well, second form Cell in this story is huge. And Perfect Cell in canon was quite a bit taller than Piccolo, Piccolo was 7'5", so I placed Cell at 8 feet. According to the Dragon Ball Wiki, the nameless Namek, Katas as he's known here, was 8'2", and I wrote that Imperfect Cell was a bit taller than him, so Breakthrough the Limit Imperfect Cell is 8'6". Using this, I decided that Cell in the story, due to Raditz and Cooler's cells over Vegeta's and Frieza's, would be 6 feet taller in each form than... No, sorry, that's inches, my bad. Would be 6 inches taller in each form than Canon Cell. In his semi-perfect form, Canon Cell was apparently twice Vegeta's height, 10'10", so Breakthrough the Limit semi-perfect Cell would be 11'4", gigantic. For the record, Perfect Cell in canon was Piccolo's height, 7'5", so Breakthrough the Limit Perfect Cell would be 7'11", almost as tall as Katas, and around canon and Perfect Cell's height. Why did I go into so much detail? Not sure, really. I just did. But really, the main differences with Cell are going to be in his perfect form. That's where the character's personalities in him started to become more prominent, for one thing, not to mention his less monstrous appearance and diversity of techniques. Also, I know some of you like to hear music for chapters/scenes. I once said Raditz's theme was Vegeta Powers Up. That worked while he was more morally ambiguous. After returning to Earth from Namek and becoming more heroic, his theme is now an isolated warrior from the BTtL Kai soundtrack. From the same soundtrack, the theme for the Android Saga is The Braveheart Challenges the Strong. So yeah, that's that. Thank you so much for listening. This chapter has done quite a bit of murder on my voice, not to mention I'm feeling a tad bit under the weather. But I did it. Anyway, stay tuned for the next chapter. Cell's ascending to his perfect form. What'll happen next? Only one way to find out. Fun fact. Okay, just a fact. To change things up, I was going to have Yamcha and 18 have a scene together instead of her and Krillin. But Yamcha was dead at the time due to me only thinking of Yamcha's sacrifice at the last minute. Lightning split the sky as rain poured down onto the battlefield. Cell was laughing maniacally as 18 disappeared into his absorption-ready tail, while the two Saiyans looked on. Raditz with horror, Break with anticipation. A bright green glow erupted from Cell, completely obscuring his form. Jagged electric bolts of power shot up and down as he began the metamorphosis of his long-awaited perfect form. "Break!" Raditz growled. "You put all our lives in danger out of your bloodthirsty need to fight!" Just like I noted in the hyperbolic time chamber, it seems her rage on becoming a Super Saiyan gets worse the higher she ascends. All the women on this planet had to be the one whose DNA could cause this, didn't it? Break just grinned. "Come on, Cell. Don't disappoint me." The light began to flicker, and flashes of Cell's body could be glimpsed inside. Then, the glow expanded suddenly, growing to unbearable intensity until it could be seen from space, the massive levels of energy scrambling satellites as instruments and bringing down communications networks all over the planet. And with that, it faded. A humanoid figure, shorter than Cell has previously stood, was standing in a crater in the ground. The light finally vanished, revealing Cell's final form. He was a little shorter than his first form now, still larger than any of the others there. He was, as before, mainly green, though now a lighter shade, with black touches, but the orange was gone and his features were much more refined, with a human-like face. It had retained the crown-like structure on his head, and his wings had returned. Everything about him was smoother, less monstrous, and more artificial. There were small blue streaks down the side of his otherwise light gray face. He stood still for several seconds, silent but for the storm, and then smiled. When he spoke, it was with the refinement of an educated being for whom tone and inflection are nothing less than an art form to be mastered along with everything else. "I am perfect." "Hey!" Break flew down to Cell, loudly announcing her presence and breaking the silence. "This is perfection?" Cell slowly turned his head to Break. "That is correct." "Ha!" She indicated to herself. "Remember who let you. You know what I want." "Break?" Raditz landed behind her. "No!" She held a hand out. "Mine!" He shrugged. "Fine, she can have it her way. When she's down, I'll step in. I could probably fight better without that maniac in the way. Break began to advance towards Cell, who turned to face her. "Fight me!" she demanded. "Alright, have it your way." Cell raised his arms in a peculiar defensive stance, arms fully outstretched, one hand resting on top of the other. "You should feel honored. You will be the first to sample my new power. Care to help me warm up?" "Not playing your games, Cell!" she shouted, launching herself at the completed bio-android. "So this is her maximum," Raditz thought. "Just as I thought, she's been taking it easy so far. Her power may exceed mine." "Very well." Cell spun 90 degrees right as Break swung past him, angrily twisting and kicking at Cell. He caught her leg in both hands, throwing her away head over heels. "That's quite some power you've got there," Cell told her. "For an inferior life form, that is." Raditz frowned. "Oh, there's no doubt he's got cooler cells in him." Break charged back towards Cell, enraged. "Die!" But her fist swung through empty air. She balanced herself, her head sweeping back and forth. "Where'd he go?" She froze as a slow clap rang out around them. Slowly, she turned to see Cell standing several feet behind her, sarcastically applauding. Yes, very well done. Now I've tested my speed. How about my strength?" He vanished, appearing right in front of Break, and landing a straight punch to her stomach before she could even move to defend herself. There was a noise like a mountain being split in two. Break folded up and dropped to the ground, hissing in pain. Satisfactory, Cell decided. Break pulled herself up, gasping for air. "You... kill you!" She threw an uppercut that crashed into Cell's jaw from below, but he didn't flinch. "And endurance is satisfactory as well," Cell said. "Thank you very much for helping me assess my perfect form. I'll dispose of you now." "How?" She choked, unable to believe that Cell had taken her attack without making any move to defend himself, yet emerged completely unharmed. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't care. How strong? I'll win!" "Win?" Cell chuckled. "You poor deluded thing. This isn't a fight. You've helped me warm up, so I've got no further use for you. Goodbye." Faster than she could follow, he kicked at her head, sending her flying away. A distant dust cloud was thrown up as she landed, and then silence fell again, for the few seconds it took Cell to feel her energy. It seems she's still alive," he noted with disappointment. "I suppose I should have put more power into that attack." "Ah well," he smiled. "What will you do now, Raditz?" "I'm trying, Dad!" Gohan panted, collapsing after another day's unsuccessful attempt to transform into a Super Saiyan. "I can't do it!" "I know you can, Gohan." Goku sat next to his son. "You have the power inside you. I'm sure of it." "Don't worry, it's not your fault." "No, it isn't." Gohan sat up, a strange look in his eyes. "It's yours!" "Huh?" "You're always keeping me back, trying to protect me. I'm tired of it. You made me stay home when you went to fight Vegeta. Then I could only go to Namek when I had Bulma, Tien, and Yamcha to babysit me!" Calm down, Gohan." Goku recoiled from his enraged son. "This is a bit sudden. He was calm a minute ago." "No!" He fumed. "That's why I can't transform. It's why I've never been any use when I do fight. I got beaten up by those Saiyans, by Frieza and Cooler. When Frieza attacked Earth, you let me stay in bed while you almost died. And you didn't let me fight the androids. I had to stay home while Mom watched me do homework. Hey, you're just a kid. Well, what were you doing when you were a kid? Having adventures. If you want me to be a real fighter, you've got to stop holding me back. Gohan, I'm sorry, I just... No! You don't just anything. I'm not there when you need me, or if I am, I can never help. I've had enough! The beast heard the call and awoke. Golden light burst out of Gohan's body, lifting up his hair and throwing Goku back. He breathed out. It worked. Raditz was standing behind Cell, shaking with anger. Drops of rain slid down his face, the bleak weather seeming to reflect his thoughts. Break really was even more powerful than me, but Cell just brushed her off without any effort. I guess I've got to get tactical, I died in that future timeline earlier on, and even before that I didn't have much reason to train for any particular threat. That means he won't know anything I've developed over the last 3 years. 4 if you count the hyperbolic time chamber. I know I'm outmatched, Cell, but giving up's never really been my way. That girl was blinded by anger, but she's got a good heart. She's already seen one world devastated by Dr. Gero's creations. I won't let it happen again! He somersaulted over Cell, spinning and throwing a barrage of red energy bullets from one hand. Blitz cannon! Cell jumped into the air to avoid the attack. He wasn't afraid of being injured, just that the dust it threw up might get his perfect form dirty. But Raditz had predicted he'd dodge like that, and threw a second, more concentrated attack up at him. I was never really one for originality, so thanks for this one, Jace. Crusher Ball! The flickering red spear arced up towards Cell, but Dr. Gero's ultimate creation simply stuck out one hand, catching it without any real effort. Almost gently, he closed his hand, crushing it between his fingers. A clever ploy indeed. Futile, of course, but clever. He floated back down to the ground, landing with graceful poise. That didn't just happen, did it? Raditz asked himself. He's too much! How am I supposed to beat something like that? I'm feeling generous today, Cell said. Achieving my perfect form has put me in a good mood. I'll give you one more chance to attack me before I retaliate. How does that sound? Yeah! Raditz ran straight at Cell, throwing a straight punch that Cell caught easily. Is that all? You saw me fighting your daughter. You must have known a strike like that wouldn't work. Raditz swung his other hand, and Cell caught that too. Pitiful. You think so? Raditz grinned, grabbing Cell by the wrists. Let me show you something I discovered in the hyperbolic time chamber. At first I thought it was an even higher form above Super Saiyan. He gritted his teeth, lines of energy sparking up and down his body. His muscles bulged out even more than before, and it seemed to be taking all of his concentration just to keep his power under control. His hair became elongated, sticking out in all directions like a mad, twisting bush. The pupils vanished from his eyes as he continued to grow more heavily muscled, then reappeared as he finished. Of course! This isn't really a form, as such. I've just bulked up my muscles. The Ascended Super Saiyan form is really the limit of how far you can get just by simple powering up. Past that, you just add brute strength at the expense of speed, which is why I made sure I had a hold on you before powering up! Cell's eyes widened as Raditz squeezed the perfect being's wrists between his massive fists. Gah! Cell yelped, knowing if this kept up his arms would eventually break. He pushed off the ground, kicking Raditz in the head with both feet, and as the Super Saiyan let go and fell back, Cell backflipped away and landed upright. He twitched to the side as Raditz's fist slammed into the ground next to him, throwing out cracks through the earth for a mile around. And now I need speed! Raditz relaxed back into his Ascended Super Saiyan form, kicking up at Cell who ducked under the attack, elbowing Raditz in the side and bringing him down. Raditz rolled away, trying to ignore the pain. Well, it seems you do have some fight in you, Cell said. Not only do you know how to make yourself stronger, you know when it's a bad idea to have excess muscle slowing you down. Impressive. Of course, it's useless when even your maximum unweighted speed is nothing compared to mine. But I thank you for being a small challenge, however briefly. If it's any consolation, when you bulked up, you were stronger than me. At least in terms of physical brute strength, as you put it. But what good does it do if I can't catch you? Raditz muttered. And adding strength just made me even slower. I've lost! You lost before the battle begun, Raditz, Cell said. Did you ever truly believe you stood a chance against the perfect being? Still, you were surprisingly powerful. How did you accomplish that so quickly? We just did, Raditz spat. None of your business. Very well. Could you do it again? What? I'll put it in words of one syllable, Cell joked. Then maybe you'll understand. Could you get stronger again? Yes! But we need time! I mean, you're probably going to blow up the planet or something. He paused. Say, what is your purpose? Now you've become perfect. Well, I'm still going to kill Goku as Dr. Gero intended, Cell said. But after that, I'm not sure. I'll decide soon. However, I do know one thing. This world, this universe, belongs to me now. Somebody will stop you, Raditz growled. Yes, 16 said that too, Cell shrugged. I really don't know who this somebody is you're all talking about. I suppose it's in the nature of good-hearted people to be optimistic. Good-hearted? Me? Break had said something similar. Raditz began to wonder, had he truly changed? Even Cell considered him the good person. No, that couldn't be right. Cell only thought that because Raditz opposed him. Fighting for good once or twice didn't erase half a lifetime spent fighting for evil. Sorry about that, Dad, Gohan said. He was sitting next to his father, powered down to normal, breathing heavily. I just realized that I wasn't getting anywhere by trying to power up. I had to get angry at something. I had a need to transform. So, Goku looked down at him. You made yourself angry at me? Gohan nodded. And myself, for not being able to compete in these battles. I didn't really mean that. Well, I did, but not to that extent. Has anyone ever told you that you talk like an adult already? Mom grinned. Mom says I'm very eloquent. He giggled and suddenly seemed a child again. Goku rubbed his growling stomach. That reminds me, we should grab lunch soon. What? How does that remind you of food? Well, everything does. They got up and walked back towards the living area. But you thought of a way to turn Super Saiyan all by yourself? See? I knew you had potential. But back to the point, Cell announced. What if I gave you time? Could you get a lot stronger? If you gave us time? Raditz considered this. Well, I guess with a few weeks we could— Excellent! Cell's eyes narrowed. I wouldn't want to leave my perfect form untested. And you, here on Earth, might be some of the universe's strongest warriors. You have 1 week. If you don't face me then, I'll destroy this planet. You'll be able to find me. I won't bother concealing my power. Now excuse me. Excuse you? Where are you going? Well, to my chosen battlefield, of course, Cell replied. But first I'm going to steal your dragon radar. Wait, what? In an instant, Cell was gone, leaving Raditz to stand in the rain, contemplating his defeat. He spun around trying to follow Cell's energy signal. He's moving so fast! If he's capable of that kind of speed, he must have been holding a whole lot of power in reserve when he fought me. I could use instant transmission to follow him, but what would I do when I caught him? He powered back down to his normal state, walking over to Break's unconscious body. I could feel Nail, Zarbon, and Krillin around here too. I guess I'll need to make several trips to get everyone back. To the lookout, I guess. Still, stealing the dragon radar. I don't like the sound of that. Goku stood silently, reaching within himself for the hidden power he knew was there. Opposite him, Gohan sat cross-legged, meditating, a skill he learned from Goku, who had learned it himself while training with Kami, and had taken to doing more and more often in the chamber, currently trying to maintain the ideal state of inner peace as a Super Saiyan. It was just an idea that had occurred to him one day, and finding it suitably challenging, he'd applied himself to it wholeheartedly. Gohan! Goku called, and Gohan looked up. I found it! He shouted with focused effort, transforming first to Super Saiyan, then going a step further to the ascended form Raditz and Break had discovered. Alright, take a look at this power. He tilted his head one way, then the other. I could go even further, but I think I'd just be slowing myself down for the sake of more strength. This is about as far as I can power up without losing speed. Gohan smiled. You figured that out just now? I've been thinking about this for a while now. To be honest, I could have transformed hours ago, but I wanted to make sure I had it just right. Okay. Gohan frowned as Goku began excitedly testing his new power, throwing punches, kicks, and energy blasts that detonated with satisfying booms, laughing with delight the whole time. Gohan looked up, then slowly shook his head. I don't know, Dad. Goku stopped. What do you mean? I mean, you're really powerful, but I'm not sure if that's enough. I still don't follow. Well, it always uses up a lot of energy to transform. And now you're having to transform twice. That's quite a lot of wasted power. Well, I don't know how we get around that. I mean, without transforming, we don't have enough power to fight Cell. Goku scratched his head. Gohan? How long have you been a Super Saiyan now? Uh-huh. Gohan blinked. Oh yeah, I am. A few hours, I guess? I lost track of time meditating. And how long could you stay transformed when you first unlocked Super Saiyan? Not very long. Less than an hour, I think. Gohan looked curious. What is it, Dad? The problem you pointed out? Wasting energy, plus this powering up limit I'm running into? I think you just solved it, Gohan. Oh! Gohan stood up, running over to his father. We need to practice staying as Super Saiyans for as long as possible, right? That's it. We can make it more natural, less effort. We won't waste as much energy when we transform. Goku patted his son on the head. Well done. It would have taken me a while to figure that out on my own. I'd have just been stuck with the Ascended Super Saiyan's limit. At some point, you've got to think beyond just powering up, I guess. He looked down at his heavily muscled, transformed body. Okay. He powered down to his regular Super Saiyan state. Let's get started, Gohan. Train as normal, but stay transformed as long as you can. Got it? Right. And he just took off, faster than anything I've ever seen, Raditz was saying. He'd taken Nail, Zarbon, and Krillin to, formerly, Kami's Lookout, before teleporting back to Kame House and bringing the others as well. Now, assembled on the lookout, they had just finished listening to Raditz's account of the battle with Cell, although Nail and Krillin had told the parts before he arrived. So we failed, Roshi said gravely. Cell has achieved his perfect form. You can't beat him, and you can't power up anymore either. The situation just keeps getting worse. Wait! He's coming this way! Krillin jumped to his feet, tensing himself. You don't think he's coming up here, do you? No. He stopped. Break frowned. Right underneath us. What's he doing? He said he'd choose his own battleground, but that mean... Raditz nodded. Korin Tower. Or at least the surrounding area. I'll go and see what's going on. Stay here and wait for me. What if something happens to you? Launch protested. Let me or Break go with you. She'd become very attached to the girl after finding out she was her daughter. What are you going to do? If it comes to a fight, we've already lost. I'm hoping to avoid confrontation. He did say he'd give us a week. Raditz appeared a few meters from Cell with instant transmission, causing Cell to open his eyes, looking slightly bored. I was wondering if one of you would come along to check on me. I do hope you're not looking for a rematch already. Don't worry. I'm not stupid. I disagree. Raditz ignored this. Why here? He indicated the tall, seemingly impossible architecture of Korin Tower that stretched up to the sky towards the lookout. I suppose it's fitting, Cell smiled. So close to home, as it were. This is where Goku became a true fighter. It's where he rose to greatness. And it's where he'll fall, with the rest of you. What did you do with the Dragon Radar? Cell laughed softly. Well, stealing it was child's play. With enough speed, the weaklings of this planet won't even notice your passing. And all the fighters had left Capsule Corporation unguarded, conveniently enough. Anyway, he indicated the surrounding area. After destroying the radar, I stole one of the Dragon Balls. They're inert now, of course, since Kami fused himself with Piccolo and Nail. And since Nail's a warrior-type Namekian, he can't create Dragon Balls. It took me quite a while to find the thing, inactive as it was, but I managed. And why shouldn't I? Bulma found one entirely by accident in her basement. But I brought it here and buried it several miles from here. So, even if you find some way to revitalize the Dragon Balls, it won't do you any good. It takes more than a week to build a Dragon Radar, if my information is correct. And you can't find the ball without it. I don't want some troublesome wish stealing away my victory. So, I guess we can't bring Tien or Yamcha back until we defeat you, Raditz realized. Defeat me? Go ahead and try. In a week's time, of course. Go on and train, however it is you increased your strength last time. Do it again! I'll be waiting. Raditz frowned and vanished. It was the next day, by the time the door to the hyperbolic time chamber opened. Goku and Gohan emerged, smiling, orange geese ripped and torn. Goku had discarded his overshirt, leaving the blue one underneath, and at the moment, Super Saiyans. But they seemed different somehow. Hey! Chaozu pointed at the emerging pair. Gohan's a Super Saiyan! Yes, I expected that. Hold on. Raditz peered at the pair. What's this? Your energy feels calm. But you're Super Saiyans. What am I missing? He noticed that their eyes were a gentler shade of blue and their hair was less rigid and a lighter color. In addition, the usual glowing golden aura was absent. Well, Gohan began to explain, but Chi-Chi tackle-hugged him into the ground and started fussing over his hair, forcing Goku to take over. Well, he explained, you can thank Gohan. He gave me the idea. Transforming uses a lot of energy, and just ascending like you did has its limit. Yeah, I found that too, Break nodded. My father didn't quite reach it, but I did. I didn't think it was a problem, though. I felt so powerful. I could have sworn we were invincible. I guess that fueled my overconfidence. She turned to walk away. I'm sorry, guys. It's my fault. I let him win. Don't talk like that. Raditz stepped in front of her. You weren't in control of your emotions. What happened? It's in the past. Let it go, alright? You do well to follow your own advice, she shot back. You still won't admit you're a good person now. That's because I'm not, he growled. A moment of folly causing us to lose the battle is one thing. What I've done is completely different. You know what? Never mind. She held up a hand to try and end the argument. I don't have the energy to keep arguing about this. Goku, continue. Okay. Raditz looked from one to the other, shrugging and putting it out of his mind. So, we practiced staying as Super Saiyans as long as possible, making the transformation more efficient. In effect, it sort of raised our power base, so we start out higher. It's sort of hard to explain, but it broke right through that limit you got stuck on. Raditz snorted. A higher power base, you say? Well, forgive me for saying this, but your power doesn't feel that high. And it's not like you can suppress your power while transformed. I mean, transforming to increase your power is kind of the opposite of reducing it to hide. Goku grinned. That's the point, Raditz. Super Saiyan is now just as easy as our normal form now. So yeah, we can suppress it. Want to see some of our real power? Break gulped. I'm not sure if I do. Raditz nodded, stern-faced. Show me. Goku looked serious for a second. Raditz, move every non-fighter off the lookout. This is going to get intense. Raditz, we need to talk. Launch put a hand on his shoulder. He sighed. We will, I promise, but I have to see this, okay? I understand. I know how important it is to you, she said. To be up there with the strongest. Raditz teleported the non-combatants away, and shortly returned. Gohan stood back, as Goku took a deep breath. In front of him, watching intently, stood Raditz, Break, Nail, Zarbon, Krillin, and Frieza. Alright, Goku said, exhaling slowly. I'll show you about half of my power. He screamed as the golden Super Saiyan aura burst into life around him, power exploding from his body and shooting out from it. Krillin was swept straight off the lookout as Zarbon clung to the edge by his fingernails. Frieza hurriedly transformed into his final form, digging his fingers into the floor to keep himself from being thrown away. Raditz and Break both transformed into Super Saiyans almost as reflex, using their enormous ki to anchor themselves to the lookout. What? Raditz hissed. His power! No way! Roshi, standing on the beach of Kame House with the other non-combatants, flinched as if struck, then turned in the direction of the lookout. Is that really Goku? I didn't even know that kind of power was possible. Cracks spread out from Goku's feet, spidering throughout the entire lookout's floor. Mr. Popo, the servant genie who attended the place, was currently cowering in a corner inside the main building, believing the lookout to be under attack. Nobody remembered to tell him what had gone on until several days later. That's enough! Raditz shouted through the enormous roar of energy. You'll destroy everything! Goku! Goku stopped screaming, and his power died down. Okay. How was that? That was incredible, Break said as she and her father powered down to normal. That can't be only half of your power. Yep. Goku walked over to Raditz as the others clambered back up and made their way to them. What do you think? Even half of your power is greater than my maximum, Raditz smiled. Good for you, Goku. You've come a long way, little brother. In fact, you're even stronger than the power Cell put out when he fought us. Gohan spoke up. That's a funny way of saying it. You don't think it was his full potential? Not even close. Raditz looked grim. I'd say what we sensed before was just a fraction of what he's capable of. Still, if that was only half your power, Who knows? As he spoke, the world seemed to shake. What the? It's Cell! Zarbon exclaimed. Yeah, you're right, Krillin said, nodding. He's powering up too. He must have felt Goku. He took it as a challenge, Goku said grimly. And this is his answer. They continued to observe with their mind's eyes, struck silent with fear as Cell's energy, far below them, continued to climb to unbelievable heights. No way! Frieza cried as Cell's power passed what they'd previously felt from Goku, and kept on climbing. Gohan had taught Frieza how to sense energy when requested. I don't like this! Finally, it built to a crescendo and abruptly vanished. Cell hit his power even quicker than he'd revealed it. That was insane, Goku gasped. That was about as high as me at full power. We have no way of knowing whether he was still holding anything back or not. His real power could be twice that for all we know. It is troubling, Raditz nodded. Come on, we've got a week. Let's get back to the others and plan. That's simple, huh? Krillin muttered. I'm telling you, we're doomed. Ever the optimist, huh? And Cell is complete, replete, and ready to compete. Hey, I'm a poet, and I don't even know it. But seriously, this doesn't look good. I couldn't say this in story as it would be too awkward to fit in, but here's some changes from canon. 1. Cell is much less prone to playing around. He didn't take as long to warm up as Canon Cell. He gave them less time to prepare. And didn't make it an official tournament, so no Cell games. Goku, never having trained under King Kai, missed something of an important stage in his spiritual education. He needed Gohan's help to figure out full power Super Saiyan. Gohan, on the other hand, is a more emotionally balanced person due to not being abducted by a demon, having his father killed, and having to live alone for a year of his life. This made it easier for him to achieve greater feats of meditation, such as remaining a Super Saiyan for long periods of time, which is what inspired Goku. And 3. Upon realizing Cell may be stronger than him, in canon Goku was relaxed, as he discovered a secret in the hyperbolic time chamber. Here, he's worried. No such secret discovered. And that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in to chapters 29 and 30, with Cell finally perfect. The Cell games are a no-go. What'll happen in the week leading up to Cell's ultimatum? There's only one way to find out. Tune in next week for chapters 31, 32, and 33. It's going to be a longer video. Hopefully I'll be able to live up to that promise. Anyways, like I said again, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Follow me on Twitter to keep updated on the show. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe. Ginger Powers signing off.